Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. I'm excited today because just recently I finished The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is based off of George R. R. Martin's The Night of the Seven Kingdoms storylines, which with Dunk and Egg. And I haven't read this in about a decade because I think this collection actually came out in 2016, and I loved it. I love the smaller scale, more character focused uh, smaller POVs, all that. I love the sort of more fun buddy cop adventuring tones of this story. And so I was really nervous when the show was coming out because I'd heard that the humor was going to be a little more like toilet kind of humor, and there is some of that in this season. But I want to kind of give like my overall non-spoiler thoughts. There will be some spoilers I talk about towards the end, but I'll give a warning about that. But for now, I think my overall feeling coming away after episode 6 is that I loved this show. This was so much better than House of the Dragons. And as much as I love season 1 of House of the Dragon, I did not like season 2 at all. I think the first 3 episodes were the strongest, of course, because I was the closest to what George R. R. Martin wanted out of the storyline, and then they just kind of went a really stupid route. I did not like season 2, kind of the second half of it. And also, they left it on a big kind of like cliffhanger that, it was going to be like 2 years before we get that season. And so it kind of sucks, but I was really nervous about this season because, again, there was a lot of toilet humor. I remember when episode 1 came out, a lot of people were complaining about how there was like diarrhea on the screen and just a lot of nasty stuff. But when I actually started watching it after episode 6 came out, because I wanted to sort of binge through it, I didn't want to wait weekly with it because I was moving. I did not have access to HBO at the time. And so now that I'm back with my parents, it was a lot easier to watch it. And I was watching it with my dad, and we both really loved it. It really kind of leans into the more British humor, which George R. R. Martin is really known for, like his really funny kind of scenes. And I think Dunk and Egg really go into that really well, his stories. And I really loved how the show encapsulated that. And it's really short, too. Every episode is about half an hour long, maybe. And the performances was awesome. I love Dunk and Egg in this story. I think Dexter Ansel, or Sol Ansel, I think his name is, the kid who plays Dunk, or Egg, I'm sorry. The kid who plays Egg is just like perfect. I think he has so much just camaraderie with Dunk, and it's like such a great kind of buddy kind of cop kind of relationship that you see in this season. I love the first meeting in episode 1 because it is so awkward. Dunk is trying to like show that he's a knight, but he's not really, he doesn't really behave like a knight, but he wants to be a knight. And I loved all the kind of flashbacks to him and his kind of the knight that he follows, Sir Arlen. I thought the relationship was really fun. I really loved that actor too. And the on-screen chemistry between Dunk and Egg was just perfect, I felt like. I really enjoyed watching them on screen. I also really loved the side characters as well, because that was one thing I did not like about House of the Dragon, were the side characters. I somewhat liked the main characters, but I think the only character who I really loved was Viserys, who is the kind of father character in the Targaryen family, and I loved him in season 1, but I don't want to go into spoilers, but for that show at least. But like he's gone after season 1, so it's kind of one season deal. And with this show, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I loved everybody. I thought everyone was very well acted. The writing was awesome. I had really no issues with it. I really, really enjoyed watching this show. Like, I really wish it was like a kind of golden age of television where it was 10 episodes instead of 6, because I was really wanting more. And I'm really happy they only did the first story. I think that's the Hedge Knight. I really enjoyed that one. I have no memories, really, with what happens in that. I remembered the puppet show that happens in this season, and I remember the reveal of Egg, which I'll get into with spoilers, and I just loved everything with this season. I really enjoyed the humor. I'm very happy that the cinematography was awesome, too. There was especially an amazing tourney that happens towards the end of the season, where we really see like some awesomely filmed sequences through the eyes of Dunk as he's in this jousting tournament. And I just love that. I really, really love the season. There's just so much that like I wanted just more episodes. Like it was so sad to finish the final episode and be like, oh crap, like we're not gonna get another one for another year or so. And I want them to just crank these seasons out because I know that George R. R. Martin has about 12 to 15 stories outlined and that he gave them to the creators. And I really enjoyed sort of tracking the behind the scenes for this because I know that George R. R. Martin and whoever did House of the Dragon, they had a huge falling out, and he's just not even involved with that project anymore outside of just, signing off on the checks. But I love to see that he's so involved in Dunk and Egg because I know that that's where his passion lies, aside from Song of Ice and Fire. I don't even know if he's writing Song of Ice and Fire anymore. Like, that's how little I think I care anymore about the series. But I really wish that he would just, like, write more Dunk and Egg stories because I want them to continue with this very faithful adaptation that they've been doing with Dunk and Egg because it's obvious that George R. R. Martin is sort of the key to the success of these TV shows. And after season 4 of Game of Thrones, I feel like the show really fell off. I'm one of those who think that season 5 and on is just like really bad. I think I give it like a 5 out of 10 at the most. I really do not enjoy those seasons. But with Dunk and Egg, this season was easily like a 9 out of 10 for me, 9.5 even for me. Like, I was really emotionally involved. I was very invested in all of the characters. I loved Tensor Too Tall. That was a character who I really loved reading about a decade ago, and she's amazing in the show. I really love the puppet show that she puts on for Egg, and I also love the moment when she decides to paint Dunk's shield because Dunk wants a new shield artwork or decal on it because he wants it to be his own. And he and Egg, they both sort of come up with different ideas, and it forms together to make a really awesome looking sword, which we do see in book 4 of Song of Ice and Fire. That was one of the fun kind of Easter eggs that George kind of unveiled around when the collection came out that I showed earlier. But I really want to get these stories out faster. And I know he's been working on 2 stories lately within the last year. And I hope he finishes them because I would not mind getting a volume 2 of this collection, like before season 2 or sometime after season 2 and before season 3. Because I love these stories. I think George R. R. Martin should just focus on Dunk and Egg at this point, give up on Song of Ice and Fire. He made a really great one with the first 5 books, but I don't think that we're going to be getting any more books within the series. I'm at that point now. It's been about 15 years, in about 2 or 3 months. It'll be 15 years, and I'm just jaded at this point. I don't care anymore. I would love there to be new books, but I'm not expecting it. I don't think it'll ever happen. Maybe posthumously we'll get it, which is very dark. I don't want to think about that, but I really enjoyed this season, and I think I'll talk about some of the spoilers. Actually, before I go into spoilers, I think my favorite side character in this season has been Lionel Baratheon. He is just one of the funnest characters that we've had in a very long time in these sort of Westeros TV shows because Lionel Baratheon is just such a lovable guy, and he is so funny. And he has such a great, like, on-screen chemistry with Dunk, who we have sort of a nervous, like, introduction to Lionel, where Dunk is kind of like, I don't know if I can depend on him. And Lionel just ropes him right in and offers him drinks and food and brings him under his wing and sort of is like, okay, do you need a sponsor for this tourney? Like, okay, I'll do it. And I love that. I really love that sequence when they're all dancing in the tent. And we have that great music going on, and I just really love Lionel Baratheon. I really hope he's in the next season, and I don't mind if he's not. But to talk about spoilers, I really, really enjoyed the reveal with Egg in this season when we are kind of it's sort of revealed that Egg is actually Aegon Targaryen, and he's like the one of the sons who went missing earlier in the season that we keep hearing about through innkeepers and Targaryen guards and all this different stuff. And I really, really enjoyed that reveal because I remember loving it a lot in the books. And I'm happy they nailed it really well because Dunk is about to get executed, and Egg just runs right into the tent, and Dunk is like, "No, don't get involved. Like, you're gonna get executed too." And he's like, he calls the gods by name, the king's god by name, and he's like, put your swords down. Like, I do not permit this. And Dunk is like just gobsmacked, and I really, really love that moment. And I also say that the character of Aerion Targaryen, which is actually really funny to say, kind of a rhyme there. I really did not like his character, but man, was that performance so good. It was kind of like a love to hate kind of character, and I love those type of characters. I don't need all of my characters in the TV show to be that way, but I love kind of how that happened. I really loved seeing his ass get handed to him in the final episode between Dunk and Aerion in the tournament, and Dunk is about to be knocked out for good and sort of murdered by Aerion, and he finds the strength within himself to get back up. Meanwhile, Egg is just freaking out, saying like, get up, and like all this stuff. Like, I love that moment. Like, and then we see in episode 7, we get a flashback because the joust sort of starts at it starts in episode 4. I keep thinking it's an 8-episode season, sorry. But it starts in episode 4, and then episode 5 is like a flashback. And then the conclusion happens in episode 6. And I love that entire kind of setup for it because I really love sort of seeing his background. And I was really sort of wondering, because I couldn't remember anything about Dunk's backstory because it has been a decade and I've read hundreds of books since then. But I really enjoyed getting that information again. It was a sad childhood, sad upbringing for him. And I'm really happy that he's sort of taking Egg under his wing and sort of teaching him about, the commoner way and sort of about honor and like ways to be a better king, because eventually Egg will become king. We know this from Game of Thrones and the books and all of that. And I really enjoyed also the prophecy that we get sort of around episode 3 or so, because Dunk and Egg are walking through the tournament, kind of grounds, and they're kind of like, hey, like, fortune teller's here, like, let's get our fortunes, told. And Dunk gets a pretty, nice one, you'll be rich, beyond anyone of your stature. And then Egg is like, oh, you're going to be burned alive and you'll be dead and everyone will rejoice at your death and like all this stuff. And he's like, oh shit. Like, and Dunk's like, oh, don't listen to her. Like, it's all a, ploy anyways. It's just a scam. But like, as we know as readers and also watchers of Game of Thrones, we know that he does eventually die at Summerhall trying to birth dragons. And I really loved that Dexter Soul Ansel, the actor for Egg, he basically spoils that Dunk survives this event. Because I don't know about other fans of the books, but I always assumed that he died along with Egg, trying to protect Egg from the flames, because one of the big sort of descriptors that we have is, he's, thick as a castle wall. And I always thought it would be a very emotional death for Dunk if he was shielding Egg with his own body, because he's as thick as a castle wall. Maybe, the flames won't get to, Egg, but it does. They both die, at least in each other's arms. I thought that'd be a really great death for him. And then Dexter, during the interview racket, was kind of like, oh yeah, George R. Martin told us, that, Duncan survives Summerhall. And I was just like, what? Like, I could not believe it. So I'm really hoping that we get to that point in the TV show. I hope the apocalypse doesn't come within the next few years. But it would be really nice to sort of see the ending of Summerhall and finally get the answers with that, because there's a lot of mystery around it, and George has no intent on telling the readers, and I don't think he's going to release all the books by that point, because he is 78. I really hope he can release all the books he wants, but we got to be realistic. So I think that's about it for today. I think I talked about the show enough. I really enjoyed it. I'm really happy to have watched it. I can't wait for season 2. And thank you all so much for watching. And please let me know what you think down below. And please have a great rest of the day.